Go ahead, Lindy.
Okay, we ready? Welcome everyone to the June 28th meeting of the Planning Commission of Mount Airy. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Okay, and now we have approval of the minutes for May 24th, 2021. Does anybody have a motion?
Recording in progress.
We'll motion that we approve the minutes.
You have a second? All in favor? Say aye. Raise your hand. Okay. All right. Unanimous. So minutes are approved. The next item is for citizen comments, which is only for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Do we have any citizen comments?
No citizens are logged in currently. I didn't receive any emails related to the Planning Commission meeting, so at this current time, no public comment.
Okay, great. Thank you. Carroll County Planner, is Hannah Weber with us? Oh, I see that she is. All right, you're on, Hannah.
Good evening, everybody. Just one quick update. We are on Wednesday, June 30th. We have a public engagement planning commission meeting for everybody to provide comments on the residential text that was just pushed through the planning commission. If anybody would like to sign up, they can do so at carrollrezoning.org. I believe the meeting is at 6 or 6:30. I believe it's 6. But what we're doing is strictly for public comment. And if you do sign up, then we will call your name and you are able to ask a few questions. It's supposed to be kind of a back and forth conversation, quick questions, quick answers, and then any other questions can be forwarded to our department. And that's it for me.
So, and what was the date of that, Hannah?
This Wednesday, June 30th.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Hannah about this or anything else?
And that is
John?
a virtual meeting completely, right? It's
Yes.
not, okay, it's not a hybrid.
Yeah, so what
Okay.
we're doing as of now is our regular business meeting in the middle of the month. On Tuesdays will be in person at the county office building, and then our work sessions on Wednesday evenings will be virtual.
Awesome.
Okay, anybody else? You're good? All right, great. Thanks, Anna.
Yep, have a good meeting.
Thank you. Tim Goodfellow. Hi, Tim.
Yes, hello, everyone. Good evening, Planning Commission members. I have 4 items to give you a briefing on this evening. 2 are about the plans we're currently working. One is the South Frederick Corridors Plan. I think I mentioned this briefly in a prior meeting, but it's basically a redevelopment plan from the area around the Route 355, 85 area near I-70, just south of Frederick City. And it extends southward along 85 and 355 down, incorporating all the commercial development and even some of the industrial areas. So it is a redevelopment plan still being drafted. We have the MARC station right there, the Monocacy River, the battlefield. So the plan at this point is to, promote some redevelopment, some infill development, adding some residential units in that large area, lots of underutilized land, development from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So when that plan is released, that draft plan later this year, I'll have my colleagues come to give you a formalized briefing. Start the public.
And 1 second, CMC, can you turn your mic off because it's coming through garbled? Thank you.
Okay, and the next plan that we're working on is the Sugarloaf Treasured Landscape Management Plan. We've had a little bit of a delay in getting the draft out, but it will be out this summer. So I'll make a presentation to the Town Planning Commission on that draft once it's released later this summer. The other thing I'd like to just briefly alert you to, the county awarded $358,000 in the first ever rural historic preservation grants. The county increased the recreation tax last year. And that was one of the sources of, that was the source of funding for this program. There's also an agricultural innovation business grant, and then some pandemic housing assistance. That was what the recreation tax increase funds went to cover. But the rural historic preservation grants identified, well, it was an application process, and the county is funding like the rehab, restoration, and repair of 8 significantly historic properties in the county. And actually 4 of them are in the eastern part of the county. One's on Green Valley Road in Newmarket, one's on Old Annapolis Road, one's on Linganore Road, and the 4th one in the eastern part of the county near the town is Dietrich Road. And that's a house being restored from 1760. So, and all these properties are either on the National Register of Historic Places or the county register or pending designation on the county register. So that got a lot of press coverage. And I can send you more information on the houses. We have a write-up and some pictures if you're interested in those 4 houses or all the properties that were funded by this grant program. Actually, one, the Rocky Springs School, it's from 1830. It's the oldest single room schoolhouse in Frederick County, one of the last remaining ones in the whole state of Maryland. So that's being restored with this grant program. So that's
exciting. Yeah, Tim, that would be great if you could send that to us. And I have Green Valley Road, Linganore, Dietrich, and what was the 4th one?
Green Valley, Old Annapolis Road, Linganore Road, and Dietrich Road. So okay. you may have driven by these properties. So
oh yeah.
I'll give you that information. Then the last thing I want to announce today is this was a press release in Frederick this morning. You may have seen it. A company from Austin, Texas called Quantum Loophole. They purchased the 2,000-acre East Alco property near Adamstown. It was where East Alco had their aluminum smelter there. It's gone now. But this company purchased the entire property, and they are intending, it's all zoned industrial. They intend to build a big data center campus. So that could mean many buildings, which are huge, a lot of energy use and water usage. But so that was just announced today through the county, this company purchasing the land. So the next thing we'll wait for the site plans to come in for actual construction of these large data center facilities.
Wow.
So that's going on.
Yeah, a lot, yes. And, lots of other stuff too, but those are kind of the big highlights. But I will send through John. John, can I just pass the stuff to you to send to the commission members?
You sure can.
Yeah, and Tim, you got cut off a little bit. Well, we couldn't hear you for a minute because of that CMC. So the South River corridor, you said infill residential, and then you said you would send us something on that too, right?
Oh yeah, the South Frederick corridors plan.
South Frederick, I'm calling it.
Yeah.
South River. Yeah,
that's still under development. The draft of that will be released this calendar year. So I'll have my colleague come and give you a briefing on that. And then the Sugarloaf plan that I'm working on, actually. I think I might have given you a preview of that. Last year.
Yeah, that's Sugarloaf.
Yeah, but the draft plan will be out this summer. So I'll come back and give you a detailed briefing on that.
Cool. Any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what was the total acreage? I didn't hear what you said the total acreage of what those 4 campuses are going to be.
Oh, yeah. So it could be multiple campuses, multiple buildings. It's 2,000 acres.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the heritage ones with the grant. What's your total open space that you're going to sort of establish with those 4 different properties?
Well, I didn't list any acreage there, John. I listed a dollar amount that was utilizing this grant funding to fund the restoration and repair and rehab of these 8 historic properties, and that was $358,000.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Tim? Okay. Great. Well, thank you, Tim.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So I think the next thing is, that's mine. Text change to the community commercial zone.
Mhm.
Let's see. I just reread that. Let's see if I can find it.
So I just have a clerical question here. So Leslie, since Bill is now present, does he take over the meeting or do you still maintain as the moderator? I don't,
I don't know.
I don't know what the proper procedure was, you know. Bill, do
Well,
you-
my apologies for being
we're
late,
just-
folks. I just couldn't get the equipment to work.
Okay, well,
But Leslie, you're doing a fine job. Why don't you proceed?
okay.
All right, just clerical.
So the ordinance number, actually it doesn't really have a number yet. The ordinance to amend the code, part 2, entitled General Legislation, Chapter 112, entitled Zoning, Article 5, entitled Provisions Governing Commercial Districts, Section 112-39, entitled CC Community Commercial District, subsection A, entitled Purpose. So has everybody had a chance to review this? And you remember we talked about it, I guess it was like 2 meetings ago. And Bill and I kind of exchanged some emails and
Yep.
Roxanne to clarify our language. And we did, I don't know if you noticed, Martina, we did fiddle with the purpose a little bit. And so what we took out was that it was for the motoring public, because that was in the original. Now we left in that it should be on like larger, let's see, on major thoroughfares because it is commercial, but it's sort of, you know, you kind of, you want people to be able to walk if they can, but since it's commercial, you know, ideally it's on more commercial corridors. And the rest of it is pretty much brings the CC into being more consistent with limited commercial and neighborhood professional, which don't allow those zones next to a lesser,
Residential.
yeah, and to a lesser impact zone. So
We're also creating what amounts to a buffer zone for all community commercial. So there's consistency there.
Can I pose a question real quick?
Yeah.
So, you know, reading in this, I was a little concerned. So let's just take a parcel, for example, instead of just looking at just the text. So the Voslo property right now currently is all zoned RE, right? And I have a petition for that to be rezoned to CC as it was, as we gave a favorable recommendation to the town council previously. So when I read this, it says, you know, having excellent vehicular accessibility on major thoroughfares. So I would say South Main is not a major thoroughfare. That's a dead end road. So is that, you know, that thoroughfare? I mean, I just wonder, I mean, I know we're going to potentially get a circle up there, but, and this
Okay.
is one specific question related to that parcel.
So I have 2 comments. That sentence you're talking about was already in the code.
Uh-huh.
It's the last sentence. It is also essential that areas for this district have excellent vehicular accessibility on major thoroughfares that service the community and surrounding area. That's the same. That's not a proposed change. I don't think that we should be, I don't really think this is about a particular property. I think this is about bringing CC in line with limited commercial and neighborhood professional, because it was, I think, pretty clearly an oversight that when town council, it was before I was on planning, and I don't know if Lindy was, I don't know if it went through planning anyway, but it's pretty clear that there was an oversight that they did not amend community commercial when they created limited commercial, because you can't build limited commercial next to residential, but you can build or zone community commercial next to residential, which doesn't make any sense. So the purpose of this is to address that and to do it before we go through this plan, you know, master planning process.
So Leslie, I just have for clarification, when it's talking about the buffer zone, for example, I live across from the limited commercial of the Verizon building, and then that whole commercial section, and then the man next to Verizon is a neighborhood professional, and that's the buffer. So are we going to say specifically that neighborhood professional has to be the buffer versus residential?
I'm not exactly sure why, well, I guess Tom, because Tom drafted this, he doesn't actually have, I don't think he's got buffer in the ordinance itself. I think he's got it in the,
There's a mention of a buffer in the
yeah,
whereas,
it's in the
imposing a
whereas.
buffer requirement, but it doesn't say what the buffer.
Well, the thing is that as far as I understand buffers, they're usually actually part of, aren't they part of the site plan? John?
Well, so when you say a buffer, like you're saying, we're talking zoning to site plan. So there is typically is there a buffer between, say, industrial and residential? There's a 50-foot setback that's required. But, you know, for zoning, you know, that's a different buffer. Like Martina's saying currently, her property probably should have been zoned NP previously because it's directly across from an LC when they did that NP.
Right, right. And all of this is just perspective. It's not retroactive. But I guess in terms of buffer, which is in the whereas, but it's like, so if we zone something, I don't know, really anything, even like, well, Harrison Light Share, if that had gone through, we're gonna have a buffer, you know, between how far back you could go, how close you could go to the residential properties. So like
maybe he doesn't, sorry, I was just gonna say, maybe it's not specifically outlined so that it could be general for whatever's required for whatever project is coming down the line.
I mean, I think what this does is it says, so if you're residential, we know that at least now, I think some of the limited commercial was there before you were there. I don't, or all that happened, but right now.
Not all of it.
Okay. So I can't exactly speak to like what happened. But what this would do now is neighborhood professional could be built next to you, not limited commercial. If this doesn't pass,
right,
commercial could be built next to you because it's not in the commercial zone. It doesn't limit it, which I think, and some of us think, was an oversight when they created limited commercial. They didn't change. Well, I can tell you're not following me.
Well, no, I just had a quick thought that maybe I shouldn't be a part of this discussion because you just mentioned, like, I don't know if like this might affect me personally, so maybe I should step out of this conversation.
Well, it's all perspective.
So I mean, there's a larger context.
Okay.
Right. I don't think that you have to step out, Martina, because
No, there's a larger context. Those of you that were on the Planning Commission back in 2012, 13, maybe even 2011. Okay. All right. We had some rezoning requests that we actually turned down. And our rationale was because there was no intervening zoning district between what the person was asking. They were asking to be transferred to community commercial from residential. And we absolutely said that doesn't work. And we have some precedent for that. But what we didn't do was follow through on establish a consistency of having, I'll go ahead and use the term, a buffering kind of framework in terms of how we zone and how we have a gradually reducing or gaining zones next to each other. What we don't want is to have two directly different zones like residential and commercial next to each other. We want to be careful about that. We want to see it in degrees.
Right. And Bill, that was correct. And I remember Pat bringing that up.
Yep.
1,000 years ago, that we didn't want residential to be right next to a commercial property.
And so we had some rezonings on South Main as a result. And we had some over off of 27. We had more clarity as a result. I think this simply completes the larger picture of reordering this.
Yeah, and so going along with what Bill's saying is that the reason that the town council and planning created those other zones was so you'd have this progression. So you have commercial, and then you would have limited commercial, and then you would have neighborhood professional, and then you would have residential. But they left out change in the commercials, so you can actually build commercial next to residential under the current zone. So that's, and anything, it's not gonna go back, it's not gonna change anything that already happened, so it's not in terms of you, and it's only from things that are, any changes that are requested going forward, yeah. So Bill, your hand's up on your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did that before.
It's so cute, those little hands.
Yeah.
So is there any more discussion? Scott? Anybody? So this would just be a recommendation to the town council if we were to pass it. So does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll recommend that we propose the text change to the CC zone type 112-39 as presented and discussed this evening.
Okay. Second, anyone? Okay, Lindy? All right, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, great, unanimous. Okay, so next we have, I think that it's, yeah, the Twin Arch Business Park. File number S200001, Gibney Holding LLC. And I believe, Ron Thompson, are you here for that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you like to go ahead and present?
Sure. You have.
I'm sorry, I'm going to start for 1 minute. Did you want to say anything, John? I'm sorry.
No, this was a plan that was in front of you guys multiple times, many years ago. Had received final approval on a plan, then went into a grading only plan through the county, and then sort of went stagnant. That original plan expired because it was never acted upon, and then it was resubmitted in. Oops, hold on. And it was resubmitted in as a revised plan under a different engineer. I know from the same engineer that was not present today. And at some point, the owners discontinued their contract with that engineer and then hired Ron Thompson. He came back in with a plan that was very similar to the original plan that was first submitted. The interim one before basically revised it, changed the stormwater management, and then I guess, they couldn't make the site plan work. So Ron came back in, resubmitted something that was very close to what was presented previously and approved. And then, moving forward, was able to get it back in front of you with a favorable recommendation from the planning staff. And I'll give it to Ron.
So now we're here today for the final site plan approval. There are really no changes. The work has really been working with Carroll County Stormwater Management to address the new regulations and the details that they look for in their analysis. We have all approvals with the exception of the final stormwater management, which is currently being reviewed with Carroll County. So we would ask that the Planning Commission approve the final site plan, subject to John's conditions there. The owner is anxious to be able to wrap this up and begin construction on the lot. Ideally, they would like to get the lot sealed before the end of the year, pavement and a concrete pad, while awaiting for steel and other building elements to arrive on the site that can be erected during the winter, much like J&J Trash did on the other side of Backacre Circle. I don't know. if there
Anybody
are
have any
questions.
questions for Ron? Bill? Questions? Scott? Nope. Okay, I don't have any questions. John?
I'm good.
Good, okay, would anyone like to make a motion?
I can.
Come on.
You're on, Bill.
I don't need to make them all, but I'm glad to, if need be.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead. Good.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the site plan S20-001 Gilbing Holdings LLC, and that the final site plan for lot 32 on the Twin Arch Business Park, subject to the following conditions: all town and county agency comments are addressed prior to the final Mylars being submitted. All cross-access agreement between lot 32 and lot 31 of the Twin Arch Business Park, section 3, needs to be recorded by the Carroll County Land Recorded. The site plan will expire in 18 months if no building permit is issued, or if an extension is granted for an additional 12 months by the town of Mount Airy. And all legal documents, public works agreements, and bonding needs to be secured prior to final Mylars, final signatures.
Second?
And I'll second that recommendation.
Okay, great. All in favor of the motion which has been seconded? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
See, now the number 7 was removed from tonight's meeting. And I hadn't even, until I saw this agenda, I hadn't heard anything about those items. So I was kind of glad to see that they were removed.
All of number 7?
Yep, all of numbers.
All of number 7, really?
Well, look at, I just saw it before the meeting.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the review. I saw the revised agenda. I just didn't get a chance.
Yeah, it looks like both were removed. Yep.
I didn't see it.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
That's a shame.
Should we keep these for next time, or will there be changes to them?
I think they'll be back on the agenda for next month in person. Because I think we're gonna potentially get some additional public input. And I figured I'd rather have it in a public setting. There was also some questions on, we have, this was brought down from the town council, referred to planning. So then we have the 90 days and possibly another 190 days on top of that before we need to give them a recommendation back. So I think we're just trying to make sure that everybody was in person. I think it works better sometimes.
Sure. My question is though, do I hold them or recycle them? Should I save the paper?
You can hold them and I
Save
don't
the
have
paper.
in your packet. So if everyone wants to hold them, they'll still be online as well. And Scott, I put one on your front porch just because I was out.
I saw it. I got it. I
Okay.
was on a teleconference when you dropped it off.
And I'm sorry to have your dog barking then when I do
Nah,
that.
it's all right.
Yeah, you dropped off the stuff. I was home that day, so but I didn't get to say hello.
I did ring the doorbell.
Yeah, well, we actually have Ron has a surveillance cameras now down the driveway, and we also have sensors in the driveway.
It does a ding, ding, somebody's here. Okay, nice. So I can't creep in anymore. Dang it.
Oh, actually, he has a sign saying security camera surveillance.
Okay. I didn't see it.
It's an IT guy.
He's an IT guy. Gotcha.
Okay, so we have our next master plan work session next week, July 8th. And that is because the first Thursday is this Thursday, so we always bring it to the next week. So July 8th at 6 p.m. It will be in person in Town Hall for anyone out there in Zoom land, Facebook land, who might be watching. And then the next Planning Commission is July 26th at 7 p.m. I assume also in person.
Yes. And that's going to go very quickly. You know, those two meetings together will go very quickly.
They will go very quickly.
They will go quickly. I'm just saying between the 8th and the 26th, they'll be.
Oh, yes, it's the
Mm,
time frame.
mm,
The time frame will be
mm,
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very quick.
Does anybody have anything else for this evening?
No, I just let you know, heads up, I already made an appointment for the 8th. I didn't realize we had a work session, so sorry.
Okay, thanks for letting us know.
So we will have, I'll be giving you the outcome of the economic development, their suggestions for the matrix upgrades. And also Parks and Recs will be introducing their recommendations for the matrix.
Wait, what was the second part you said?
Recreation and
Oh, Parks and Rec. Oh, Parks and Rec. Okay, great. Okay, so that'll be before Thursday, or they'll be doing it at the meeting?
They'll be doing it at the meeting.
Okay, okay, great. Okay.
Economic development won't be there in person, I don't think, maybe, but I'll have at least part of the agenda that I'll send out to you guys.
Okay. Okay. All right, anything else? Nope, great, well, thanks.
That is a record time, I think.
30 minutes.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night, see you next
Take
week.
care.
Bye-bye.
You too.